What up, everybody? How you doing out there? It is your boy Thinker. It is Friday. It's the Friday Free-For-All. Got my last week's fights co-host Chase with me today. Chase, how are you, sir?
We are living. I'm excited to see what we got going. Apparently, I missed a lot of stuff when you go to work and you come out and a lot of things go on. So,
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know if anybody really thought that this 314 press conference was going to be quite as entertaining as it turned out to be, but it certainly was. So we'll talk a little bit about that and literally anything else. You know, Friday Free for All is exactly that. We can talk MMA, we can talk stuff that's not MMA, whatever. Just out here having a good time and seeing what's going on around the world a little bit. So if you are hanging out with us in the chat, feel free to say hello and ask us questions, leave us comments, and we'll respond to as much as we can. But to start it off, as you'd said, I guess you missed the 314 press conference that went down, but that's okay because I'm going to catch you up on the pertinent details of this thing. Yeah.
I actually missed two press conferences.
Well, right. There was the 313 press conference as well, of course.
If I could say really quickly,
yeah.
Why do they never tell people about these things? They just show up and everybody, they're like, oh, you guys are in Vegas. Oh, okay, cool. We'll just do a press conference, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I guess that we should kind of know that they're happening around at least the 313 one, right? You know.
I mean, yes, but like it's also an issue that they don't let you know when these press conferences is, but it's also that they're not even relevant to the time, like when they are. Like a couple weeks ago, we had a press conference for a pay-per-view that's not even like, I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the 314 one is definitely like, I was going to ask you that exact question. Like, how do you feel about them doing these press conferences so far out? I thought about it a little bit. And one of the things that came to mind was I was like, well, they don't want to have the fighters having to leave camp or leave their training to go to a press conference. Like if it's before the fights, but not attached to it, I guess, but they still want to build hype with a good amount of lead, especially for something like 314 that has the vacant title up for grabs. They got people from all over the world, you know, involved in this one, of course, with Volk and Diego Lopez and everybody else, you know, from different regions and stuff. So I guess maybe it's like, we'll just combine them since they'll probably be in town for these, or we'll make them be in town for these or whatever. So I guess there's some little logic that makes sense to it, but like, it is still weird because it's like, you got a whole nother month. And now all of this stuff that goes down, we still have a while to go before any of this is actually relevant, you know?
I'm a big WWE guy. Maybe they're just taking a page out of their book where at any time you go to a press conference and then boom, on the spot, you get another press conference that nobody even knew about. You know, it's just.
I mean, that sounds like exactly what it is, right?
Yeah. Hey, you get to, not only do you get get your show, you get another one on top of it. Encore, I guess.
Indeed. Well, Beeb is in the chat checking in. How are you, sir? Good to see you. He's saying that Bryce looked like he didn't want to be at the press conference. We'll certainly talk about Bryce here in just a second. You can see I've got John Silva with the globe. My man brought the globe. Why you got a globe there, John? That was one of my favorite clips from this. Like it's hard to explain it, but like basically like the inflection of the translator, right? So like it was an English reporter. I think it might've been John Morgan. I think asked like, why did John Silva have the globe when he was talking to Bryce first, and he asked him about the globe. But then the way that the translator translated it was like asking it that way, but in Portuguese. So it was like, oh, but that's son globo. It was just like, it was really funny. It really made me laugh. But yeah, I'll play a couple of the clips. Hopefully, we won't have any copyright issues with the clips. But I'll play a couple of those in a little bit here, and we'll dive a little bit deeper after we catch up with everybody. But Anakin checking in as well. Bryce was cooking John. I mean, so that's another thing. We will certainly talk about that. Actually, leave that up for just a second. We'll talk about that aspect of it too, because not only did Bryce hold, I think that he handled himself pretty well throughout everything that was going on, but John Silva did not really handle himself very well. And the chat, I don't know if it was just trolling or how much of it was real. It's hard to tell with that, but the chat on the UFC stream was very much for Bryce. And again, I think that there's probably a combination of trolling and, maybe some legitimacy in there. But the most funny one of those was I saw one dude that just kept spamming Israelis for Bryce. And I was just like, oh my God, it's going to keep going. We're only just beginning when it comes to all the trolliness that's going to be going down.
Another thing that I'll note, and it sucks that I missed it, but I often don't feel bad missing it, because when I don't show up on time to these things, I just throw it out the window because they're only like 15 minutes long. Was this one very short as well? I know there was some stuff at the end where Volk was doing some stuff. I guess we'll talk about it.
Oh yeah, no. This one was a decent length, like, because I know what you're talking about too. When like generally the ones like that are like the shorter ones is when they have like the co-main and main fighters on. They just have like the 4 of them. But this one, it had like pretty decent amount of people. I like it seemed like at least the majority of the main card, if I'm not mistaken. Like Jeff Neal was up there. That it has to be a lot of people if he's up there. So
right.
Yeah, so it was pretty substantial though. That's what I'm saying. There's like a couple of like choice moments peppered throughout the whole thing. So it was kind of interesting.
I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, is there any clips you want to show me from the Bryce and Sean thing?
I guess sure. Let's jump into some of that. Did want to say what up to TJF, by the way. Says
you said the Bearcats, man. It does say Bearcats on the back too. I don't know if you see. It's actually
is that basketball?
I mean, the college, whatever.
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Cincinnati Bearcats. Come on, UC. Come on.
Oh, okay. My bad. Anyway. I didn't go to college, so
actually, fun little side path.
Yeah.
What's really funny about Ohio? So a lot of people in this area. There's Miami University, right? That's in Ohio. So a lot of people around here, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I go to Miami," and it's like for a while you're like, "Oh, like you're like from like Florida, like that's cool," but like no, you're just from a fucking Ohio town kind of.
Yeah. No, yeah, that I actually made a joke about that in a very early Yama video. It's not a Yama episode. It's a skit that I did. The Michael Bisman Cringe Police. That's a long time ago now. Shit, that's going back multiple years. But that was one of the first videos that actually got a little traction on the channel. So shout out to me for that video.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But yeah, no. All right, well let's watch a couple of these. So yeah, so John Silva comes in with the prop globe here. I guess this is at the very beginning. Okay, so I guess these are just GIFs. My bad. I thought these were actually going to be clips.
No, you're good.
But then, so to talk it through, he starts. Bryce is asked a question, and Bryce is like, what Beeb was saying. Bryce did not look like he wanted to be there or he was just very serious. So he was just like, locked in Bryce zone. And as he's starting to answer the question, John Silva just starts a "fuck Bryce Mitchell" chant. And like nobody's really going with it, but he just keeps doing it long enough that people are like, bro, he's not going to stop unless somebody says this. So like they kind of like started a little bit. And the funny thing that he did after that, he goes, yo, and he stands up and he looks at Bryce. And he goes, fuck Bryce Mitchell. Like after keeping the chant going for a minute. I'm like, bro, John Silva is kind of cringy on the mic. I'm not gonna lie, dude.
I actually might have to go rewatch this one. Most of the time, I just let the clips speak for themselves.
I know. I wish I had like actual, like full on, like the. Oh, here we go. Okay, there you go.
You barking up the wrong tree, motherfucker.
Oh, Bryce is funny. It is a killer line, though.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, it was like it was the John Silva show for a minute. Like John Anik had to like stop him for like at a point because they just kept going. Like it was funny too because like the translator is like having to translate everything that he's saying. So it's like he keeps saying something, and the translator was like, "Am I supposed to like say this back too? Like how much more am I supposed to keep going?" So finally, John Anik was like, "Yo, we gotta move on, bro. Like let's get the fuck out of here." But so yeah, he's dancing around with the globe. He's talking all of this like very weak trash talk to Bryce. And Bryce was really holding his own.
I can see Bryce came ready to play. You know, that was listen. You're barking up the wrong tree. That was pretty fire. Will say.
No, he
definitely
and he
hit him with the frown face.
He was doing a lot of that. That was the thing. And so of course Bryce goes into my Lord and Savior mode or whatever. And you know, I felt bad for Bryce because it's like look, you know, I know that a lot of people probably are of similar faiths or are respectful of the faith or whatever. But when you're at a press conference like this, you know what the atmosphere is. So it's hard to not get into like disrespectful territory that no one said anything about like his religion specifically, but they were like, they're hyped. They're doing their thing for so he's, you know, I have the power of God beside me, blah, 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 this and that. And people are just like, basically shut up, dude. Like, you know, you're not in the right place for this. And it was an odd dynamic. It was an odd dynamic. So I don't know. I guess I mean this one is not having like a whole bunch of the clips, but like I guess it's just the ceremonial weigh-in part. Yeah, or the face-off. Yeah.
Bryce didn't even take his fucking flannel off.
So yeah, I mean, it was that was like way after all of the funnier stuff, but there was the two of them were definitely the stars of the show for a little minute.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like a fun one to witness, especially because it was two. It did seem worth it, you know, looking back now. I'll give them credit. Having two 15-minute press conferences doesn't make one 15-minute press conference look quick. I'll say that.
Yeah, most definitely. This one it had a little bit more substance, as I had said. It was interesting to see Pitbull, you know, doing his thing now, finally, at least talking a little bit there. I think that's what this article actually is about.
Was it any good, or was it? I mean, you didn't say anything good about it. You're just like, oh, it's nice to. I mean,
nothing. I mean, there was nothing like super crazy with it, but I guess the one thing that he did say is that I guess at some point when he was still in Bellator, he had challenged Volk to $1 million, you know, like winner gets $1 million kind of contest or a bet rather. And so he asked him like, yo, you still down to do that? And Volk was pretty much like, yo, just win your fight first and we'll see what happens.
Nah, Beeb, I think you're wrong. Yeah, definitely. Bryce could definitely fall off the map. He's one of those people that you don't think about until he like gets on social media, and you know, like nobody's missing Bryce Mitchell every week until he's got a fight coming up, and then you don't hear about him until the fight comes up. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, well, so that, I mean, this is a good question, or a good, I guess we'll have to, one of those things, it's a cultural thing, I would say, is like, because we were talking in the Discord about this, shout out to Elite. He was asking, like, you know, is this, like, is Bryce ever going to be able to overcome this, like, in any capacity? Like, if he wins, whatever, like, you know, what's the trajectory like for Bryce as far as, like, the fan base goes? Because when you have something like this associated with you, it really is hard to think that it will ever be like disassociated. You know what I mean? Like, and what I said to that is that I think that if he comes out and continues to win fights and show, like, he went on the Jackson podcast. Now, granted, that was a shit show for other reasons, but he did show like contrition to an extent in there. So I think if he comes out, gets a good win, strings together a couple wins, and continues to like show his there you go. Shout out to Elite. Hey, checking in the chat. Appreciate you, brother. You know, if he continues to show like that he's like not about that Nazi life, you know what I mean? Like, I think that there's probably some potential for him to like still be okay within the community, even with this kind of stuff. Because as I was saying to Elite asked me, he's like, do you really hate this guy, or do you just think he's an idiot? And I was like, 100% the second. Like, I don't hate Bryce. I think Bryce has a good heart and dog food between his ears. You know what I mean? Like, he's just a really dumb dude who got himself caught up in something that he didn't even realize he was doing. And I think that nature shows through with Bryce. So
You know what I think is funny about the whole situation is like I don't even think like the true people who are like super anti are even like with Bryce. Like I think he's just in his own like literally in his own world. Like
yeah,
he says the things, but then like the stuff that comes before it, they're like, that's definitely not what we agree with. And then the end part is like the other half, they definitely don't agree with that. So
yeah.
I don't know. If Bryce wins, Nazis, I don't know. They're still not up. I still think they're down. I can't really say they're up any more than they were before if Bryce wins or loses. So
No, I agree entirely. I mean, that's another thing that it's like, yeah, I do think that like to a very, very minor extent, you might have a couple of people who legitimately harbor that kind of like feeling and being like, oh yeah, cool. We finally got somebody to say the quiet part out loud or whatever. But I think it's such a tiny, tiny group of people that are like that. And those people are generally so deeply closeted is not the right word, not like that, but you know what I mean, that they're so they like keep it so hidden off from their like public facing personas that like it like you're not going to ever really see like a big groundswell of that type of thing like in any legitimate way. You're going to see people in the UFC's live chat putting like little chat W Bryce kind of stuff as memes mostly, and some of those might be really feeling that way, and others are probably memeing, but I don't think you're ever going to be like seeing like a legitimate neo-Nazi movement with at least within the highest levels of the sport, I would say.
yeah, true. I mean, we can only find out what Bryce is going to do next. He may just walk out with a swastika flag. We don't know, guys.
Bro, you think he's linked up with Kanye and the two of them are cooking something up?
And that's actually crazy you bring about because like I completely had like forgot about that. I actually unfollowed him on a lot of things because like bro, he just won't shut the fuck up. Like so
Stop.
yeah, so yeah, if Kanye walks out with Bryce Mitchell, honestly, that would be the best thing for Kanye's because that might get him back in the spotlight. But that's a horrible movement for both of them to be involved in. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I I don't think that Kanye ever really leaves the spotlight. He just the spotlight evolves with whatever he's on at the time. So it's like I don't think he needs Bryce to to give him the one up. But that would be the most wild walkout of all fucking time. I would,
True.
I don't know if there would be anything that could possibly top that if he did do that. That would be insane.
See,
But oh yeah,
Elite thinks he knows what he's talking about. That flag, you don't know what's banned, dude. You don't know what's
it's
banned.
true. Well, I mean, if they banned the Afghanistani flag for a little while there, I would
And
think that was
Myanmar, apparently. We'll see if
yeah.
Josh Mann brings it out this weekend.
But I did want to address another thing that Elite was saying in the chat here because he said it in the Discord too. He's thinking that because of how perfect the narrative is that John Silva comes out and Captain America's, so to speak, Bryce Mitchell is just too perfect. And he's thinking that Bryce might actually have a chance to win this fight. What are you thinking about this?
I mean, Bryce did go to decision with Ilya. Yes, that is what happened, I believe.
Is that true? Jesus, that's a while back, right?
I believe it was decision. I don't think he got finished because that was a big meme. It's like, oh, Bryce Mitchell can do this, but Volk can't, blah, 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 blah. So with that being said, he can avoid big shots apparently. But I mean, John Silva's a lot different than Ilya. But Bryce Mitchell can wrestle. And if you watch his fight with Dan Ige, he was losing the striking very, very convincingly, which should point you in a direction with John Silva, of course. If Dan Ige can do it, John Silva certainly should be able to. But Bryce Mitchell did a very good job of like getting beat up, but then wrestling until he got a split decision win, I believe is what it was. A lot of people said he lost it. I believe in the moment he won it, but I can probably see why you thought he lost. His eye was completely fucked. So John Silva might batter him, but maybe we'll legitly see John Silva have to wrestle against Farmer Strength. I don't know.
Could be. And I mean, look, we talked
Ilya
about it a little
subbed him.
bit.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Wow, he subbed him, you said? Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
that's what
Damn.
Ilya said.
So there you go. That's even crazier. I mean, that must have been after like a heavy shot or something that stump. I like the memory of that is a little hazy for me. But and then of course, be bringing up the Emmett knockout. Obviously, we know that Bryce is finishable for sure, and if there's anybody with knockout power, we know that it's John Silva. So
You know what? I want to bring up randomly is because I
yeah,
think it's something interesting to note. Is Diego Lopez the tallest opponent that Volk has fought?
We talked about this too. If you look at the cowboy boots that Diego is wearing here, they look like they got a little bit of heel on them, so it might be an extra inch or so. But either way, I mean, even without like an extra inch, he still is rather tall compared to Volk, for sure.
I mean, Islam is probably the other option. I mean, Max too, but yeah, I don't know. Diego looks huge right here, guys.
Yeah, for sure. He also looks like a like one of those dudes that does bull riding when he's not actually on the bull, you know, he's got the jacket on with the cowboy hat.
It is crazy. We talk about, the looks and the personas that you put on. It's like Diego Lopez is one of those few dudes put a cowboy hat on and it works.
Oh yeah, no, he's like, I mean, he obviously Brazilian / Mexican, whatever, but he like right here, he is like Tejano for real, for real. Like that is like such a classic Tejano look, and he rocks it perfectly. So this dude is really on it.
Yeah, his outfits are always good. All right, continue on.
Yeah, well, so we're into next, I guess. I mean, the points here about Bryce possibly having a chance against Silva. I mean, I guess we just talked that through. So I'm trying to think of what else we want to talk about from the presser. Oh, of course, Volkanovski singing. That was a big one. So
what was he singing?
Okay, so I didn't know the song off rip, but what it was that apparently at some point Volk had made a comment about the Diego mullet, and of course it having the emo.
Yeah, I saw the video. Yes.
So somebody asked him about that, like, you're in front of him now. What do you got to say about his hairstyle? And in typical Volk nice guy fashion, he was like, I don't think it was that bad. I just thought,
I don't think it's that bad, mate.
Exactly. No, it ain't that bad. But it's like you got the mullet in the back, and then up in the front you got that.
That's a really good one. Oh shit!
Yeah, close enough, I guess. But he was like, he basically was saying that you got the emo in the front, and then so he started singing a little bit of a band called oh my god, it's part-time
basically
serenade,
an emo song,
summertime serenade. Yeah, it was like an emo song, but he sang a lot of it. Like he sang like the whole chorus of this thing, and apparently did it pretty well.
He sang enough of it to where if Volk had hair, he would probably be rocking the same cut, right?
Oh, dude, yeah, that would be that. I wonder if Volk had the emo back in the day. You think?
Yeah, I mean, probably
2008.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when he was in rugby, it got a little dicey back then. He definitely had the emo. I can see it.
I'm with that. I think so. So yeah, but he sang, and I thought that, I mean, not that he has the greatest singing voice on the planet, but he certainly knew the words, because it was one of those like, tonight I'm gonna fall in love with you kind of shit, And I was like, man, he did his research. He knew the song.
I'm trying to think. So like we were talking about in the Discord earlier about how a lot of these fighters, they just never decide to learn English, or they do it very late or whatever. So the people who didn't speak English, were they just like sitting straight face to the crowd when this was happening, or was everybody just like actually witnessing Volk singing? Like,
it was hard because they had the tight shot on Volk for it, but I think that everybody was vibing, because honestly, that was another part of this press conference aside from the Bryce and Silva thing. But even that sort of lightened the mood a little bit because of how weird John Silva was. But like overall, Volk and Lopez are both super nice guys, so there was a lot of respect there. Patty and Michael Chandler both had like some respectful stuff to say to each other, and their interaction was pleasant and stuff. Pitbull was pretty gracious. Even Carlos Prates was pretty nice as well. He was.
Who the hell is Pitbull fighting again?
Pitbull is fighting Yair Rodriguez. What is that? Why?
That dude is just, Yair Rodriguez, time after time, finding his way to get a fight on a fucking card that people care about, and nobody's caring about that dude. Anyway, continue.
I mean, that's pretty much the end of the thought, is that I think everybody was really like, aside from Bryce, who was just very, very, all about his business. Because Bryce, what they were saying, and I think that like it definitely showed, is that this really was, aside from Jackson, which, obviously got taken down and nobody really cared all that much about. This is his first like big public outing since everything went down with the podcast. So I think that he went into it kind of with a very like stern kind of mentality of like, I got to have my game face on and be ready for anything kind of attitude. But aside from him, like everybody else was pretty much just vibing. It was okay.
Yeah, you haven't talked about Alex and Uncle Ive yet. They were just chilling, hanging out.
Well, that
Oh,
wasn't for
that,
this.
oh, sorry, that was the next one.
Yeah,
my bad. I'm looking at
and
the
honestly,
picture right next to him right here.
Yeah, and I haven't seen that one, so that might be one that I mean, maybe chat. Let us know. Is there anything funny at that one?
Yeah, true. Yeah,
Uh,
okay, so that was after. This is the one that happened first. My bad.
Okay, I didn't realize that was how that went down. I thought that they did that and then just the weigh-in, the ceremonial weigh-ins, and that was it.
I think there might have been a. I think there was. I don't know. I could.
I mean, it had to have been if it's tomorrow, right?
Yeah, true. You're right. You're just making too much sense for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see him sitting at a desk right here. Like that's why I'm so confused. Like on the right side of the picture here. Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
guess
could have swore I
did
saw people. I could have swore I got on Twitter and saw some videos of it, but maybe
I'm
that
sure.
was
I'm sure that they did. I just didn't see it.
okay.
And 7A, we would like to stream it. That's gonna get us taken off the platform. We can't stream UFC content, but all of this is available on YouTube for you. So if you want to see the entire uncut thing, just go to the UFC's YouTube page. You'll be able to catch it all.
And Elite, I'm gonna take my boy Volk because he's gonna be dog money, and I'm gonna take him by late finish or I'll probably take him by decision. Diego Lopez is a guy that he'll fight through it. He always does. He'll get to the bell, even if it's up 2 fucking weight classes technically, and against a dude fucking 20 pounds heavier than you, and whatever you want to say. He's a dude that's gonna get to. He's gonna get to.
And I mean, like, as far as I'm concerned, and I really want to be wrong about this because it's one of those fights where I like both guys. I'd like both of them to win, but there can only be one winner. At this stage, based on what we have seen and all of the factors that go into it with the age and, basically the trajectory of the career that generally happens at this point in like a fighter's career as to where Volk is at currently. I got to go with Diego too. You said you said that Diego's gonna, or that you're going with Volk.
You guys do make a convincing argument.
Don't let us sway you, bro. Stick to your guns. But I'm just saying, I'm going with I'm sorry, I didn't want to say I was doing it too. If you said something different, I might have misheard you.
No, I'm looking at I thought Volk was going to be the underdog, so I would love to take him as a dog. But if Lopez is the underdog, honestly, guys, that knockout money, I don't know if I could actually win money on that on my boy Volk, but that might be a likely scenario.
Yeah, Lopez at a plus 130. I mean, it's not a crazy underdog, but I'll still take plus money on it. But yeah, I mean, just again, really like as to where I'm coming from with it, it's like, now granted, Diego Lopez is not the same beast as the ones that Volk has been put away by, but it's just the way that this sport works. And I feel like often, reverse it. I feel like it is extremely, extremely rare that once the backslide starts to happen after you've been a dominant champion for as long as Volk has been or had been, then it's extremely rare that you ever are able to regain that in a significant way again. I want to be proven wrong though. Like I am 100% down with us coming back to this and being like, man, you got that 100% wrong. I would be very happy about that. I love Volk as a champion. I've always thought that he is a very good ambassador for the sport. He carries himself well. He's a likable guy. You'd want to have a beer with Volk, right? He says so.
Yeah, right.
So, I want to see that happen. But at the same time, it's just, I feel like Diego has been putting that work in. He's been like, Diego. Let's recall that this is the same guy who was fighting at Noche and then also cornering at Noche, and was on Grasso's coaching team on The Ultimate Fighter while getting ready for fights and stuff. This dude lives this shit. Like, he has been doing the work. Like, he's doing everything that you want to see out of a fighter who's about to get his time to shine. So that's just where my gut's at.
That's true. I don't want to, and I have always liked Diego, so this is going to be the time to put my money where my mouth is. And you guys are right. Volk is pretty old, and the over 35 at 55 or below, whatever this dude's fucking saying. So much going on here, Elite. But yeah, Lopez is pretty fucking powerful, and God, and Volk is compromised, and Diego, grappler at heart. striker whenever the fuck he needs to be. So if he has to go put Volk out, that might just be what happens.
Yeah. Sadly, I think that it can happen. I mean, I think that you make a good point, though, that if it goes into later rounds, then Volk probably will be able to take it later. I mean, he'll be able to do the 5-round dance. But Diego, if we saw anything out of the Brian Ortega fight, now granted, different fighters, of course, but I mean, like the performance that he put on against Brian Ortega, like that fight was taken to Ortega from the first punch of the fight. Like he had him compromised from the inception point. So it's like if he fights like that with the same navigation and same level of power, which we know that he has, able to wrestle too if he needs to, I mean, it's just going to be a tough uphill battle for those early rounds that I feel like Volk might get a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, it is worrisome, but hey, we don't even have to worry about that this week. We can sleep peacefully knowing that Diego is not going to ruin our lives yet. So
that's true. And I guess Anakin making a decent point here too, though, that Lopez did not knock out Movsar, Ortega, or Ige. So I don't know. These are all the factors, right?
Dude,
these are the factors.
Let's be real. Ortega got fucking dominated. Like,
yeah, he was as knocked out as you could be without getting knocked out, right?
Like, dude, how do the refs, like that first round, was that a 10? Like that had to have been a 10-8, right? Like,
I would say so.
How did that not get stopped, bro? He was putting a fucking pounding on Brian Ortega. Holy shit. But anyway, yeah. Diego's really good. Really tall. It's gonna be interesting to see how he deals with a really short opponent. Dan Ige, he's got okay. Dan Ige is also a hobbit, so this is fair.
Yeah, I wonder how tall is Dan Ige compared to Volk? I wonder, maybe like an inch taller.
Yeah, maybe
about that. So something like that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we will see, but I mean, I think that most of the factors are trending in the right direction for Diego in that fight. As sad as it makes me to say that,
Well, I mean, you also got to look at the storyline. I mean, yes, this is two great fighters who, history is going to meet. But Diego Lopez just 1 year ago was on the not contender series, but what was it? He was doing something just a year ago. Anyway,
fighting.
No, but it was I don't fucking remember what it was. I just saw the fucking video. But either way, like he's making his own path to greatness here, and when he wins the belt, just like Dricus, it's like the story was like built, and he was following the path. I mean, when he wanted to become champion, and that's what he did. So
yeah, true. And thank you, Anakin, for confirming that. Yeah, Volk is 5'6" and Ige is 5'7", so close enough. Yeah, we'll see about all of that one. So what I mean, yeah, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else from the press conference, at least the 314 press conference, that was like real standout. Those were like kind of the major points that I had, were the Volk singing, and the Bryce and John Silva interactions. But I don't know. I guess let's see what else is just going on in general, and kind of, I mean, if honestly, chat, like, feel free to throw anything in there that if there's stuff that you want to talk about in here, we can talk it through, whatever you guys are feeling. But of course, obviously, we've got the event coming up this weekend, which is taking front and center stage. So, I mean, I guess we can break it down one last time here. Poatan versus Ankalaev. One thing I would want to say about this, actually, all right, for anybody who is listening, there is a video out on the Yama channel right now about the curses that Alex Pereira is going into 313 with. I didn't even put in there that it's 313, number 13, right in the pay-per-view number there. Unlucky number 13, right? So I made an entire video about all these curses. This video is doing wood. It is getting no traction whatsoever. So go out there and watch it to get the full impression of all of the curse aspects, the supernatural aspects that Poatan is facing coming into this fight. But there are a couple of things in there that I did note. One of which being that, of course, the Drake curse thing, whatever, but DC's comment was that Poatan might not have been taking his training as seriously leading up to this fight. Do you lend any credence to that, Chase Parton?
No, hell no. Alex takes all the fights serious. He's one of those people who he was able to experience life differently than a lot of athletes. You know, working as he was, and then he just, you know, he got into the sport a little later. He's able to appreciate his time, and he's also just able to lock in on training. You know, he doesn't have to be in the gym 24/7 to take away a lot of good things from a good session or whatever. He's able to get his time in, use it wisely, make value of the time, and then he's got to go be with his sons. You know, easy.
True. But I mean, you know, he
Show
was
his
out
sons
there.
the world. You know, I mean, he's only got one life. He was never able to do it before. Hey, now they can go literally anywhere. So
True. Yeah, yeah. I guess that is a point. I guess Chad is talking about the Michael Chandler and Patty Pimblett fight. I guess we talk about that a little bit. Initial impressions of that fight. See if I can get a graphic for that.
it's, I don't know, man. It's really hard to say because Chandler, I would love to see him be on his way out. And I would love to believe that if Dustin Poirier, and I've said this before, if Dustin Poirier can sub Michael Chandler, gosh, there's got to be somebody else out there who can. Um, and it's not Charles Oliveira. So if Patty can do it, and listen, Patty's got a lot of subs, man. I'm not gonna say I've loved him, but I think I've grown to respect his game. And it wasn't even after the Bobby Green fight. I think it was even the one before that. What was it, Tony Ferguson? Did he
Yeah,
did he-
what was that, Tony? Right then before
Yeah,
that, yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, that sounds
I
about
think at
right.
that time I realized, like, okay, he's good enough. But the Bobby Green one definitely solidified it. This one, if he beats Michael Chandler, some people can slight him for it, I think. Even if they didn't slight the Bobby Green win as maybe they could have, to be honest. Like, that's like an older kind of guy, like, you know, get him out of there anyways. But Michael Chandler's, the argument's gonna be there, like, oh, you beat a 40 fucking however old Michael Chandler.
Right. Well, so this is the thing about that point specifically is that, like, I feel like pretty much aside from the Jared Gordon fight, which obviously sent Patty in a direction that I don't think he was anticipating going in with the fan base and all that kind of stuff. You can say what you want to say about that fight and how it shook out as far as the, you know, it being a robbery or whatever, but he still won that fight, right? So let's just accept that part of it. However, thereafter, I think that every one of the fights that he's had since then is like one that you can, if you want to be a little bit nitpicky about it, you can put an asterisk on to some extent, right? Tony Ferguson, oh, well past his prime, blah, blah, blah. Bobby Green, well past his prime. Michael Chandler, not really that good, not elite, but you know what I mean? Like this kind of like you can always, there's a lot of like little arguments to be made about everyone that he's going up against, but he's winning these fights pretty convincingly, like at least in the ones that we talked about, aside from the Jared Gordon one. So it's like, I don't know how you can really deny the guy anymore unless you are just a hater, which is, you know, some people still have feelings about him from back in the Gordon fight. I think that he's matured enough in the way that he carries himself, at least how I look at it. Like I'm giving him enough of a benefit of the doubt, second chance kind of thing, because he really has been carrying himself pretty well. Like he's not like the Logan Paul of MMA or anything. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't act like that. So it's like I'm cool with the guy, honestly. Like I think that he's redeemed himself well enough, and he's winning his fights. So go out and beat Michael Chandler. I mean, there's a couple of different opinions in the chat about, you know, whether or not he actually is going to be able to do that, but I don't see why not, you know?
I think what's interesting to note about Patty is, yeah, Patty should definitely sub Chandler, exactly like Dustin did. But what I think is interesting about Patty is it seems like they kind of they either didn't trust Patty's hype at first, or like they didn't buy into it because they didn't start building Patty's resume. Like you're talking about Jared Gordon, but like after that, it's like Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green, and then now Michael Chandler. It's like
Right.
when we look back, it's going to be like, well, Michael or Patty Pimblett, he beat a lot of, you know, great people, and that's better than just like random names at the time who were great because legacies carry on. It's like they know who Michael Chandler is, they don't know who Gajish Sulov is. So
Right. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense. And again, if he's winning these fights convincingly, Gordon fight aside, then I really don't see how you can like have much of a counter argument for it. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like a lot of times if you don't like, it's like anything else, right? It's like if you like the guy, then you can make all of the arguments for him. If you don't like the guy, then you got a million arguments that you can make on the other side of the equation. But if you want to be impartial about it and just be real, like the dude is doing what he is supposed to do, and he's no longer going out there like he's God's gift to fighting. Like, because I think early on, like in his very first fight, and when he was talking to Bisbing and he was like, I'm from Liverpool, mate. We don't get knocked out, or I'm a Scouser, mate. We don't get knocked out. I was like, that's gonna age like milk if he does, but he hasn't. So it's like until he does, when he does, that clip is going to be going all around like crazy. I guarantee it. But until then, he's not acting that way anymore. He doesn't have that same chip on his shoulder. So there's really not a peg that you need to knock him down anymore. Right. I mean, I saw him looking at it anyway.
I hear you. What I want to note also is this is one of the first fights in recent history where so with Tony Ferguson and Bobby Green, that was two people looking for a fight. This wasn't like booked in the backstage, like they called each other out. They wanted the fights booked. This one here, and they already said it in the chat, is that Michael Chandler and Patty were a little friendly at the press conference.
Yeah, they were.
So, I mean, I don't know. I like when Patty's, when Patty has something to prove out there. When Bobby Green said he was coming to his backyard, I mean, he made sure to give the crowd something to see, and it'll be interesting, this one too. I just don't know if I think I've even made the point about Patty is that he and I could be wrong if I made it, but I think I remember him saying he has the switch where he gets in the cage and he's locked in and he's ready to go, no matter how buoyant his personality is.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see again if he's able to just lock in and get this one done for somebody who he's giving a lot of respect to, unlike Bobby Green and Tony Ferguson. That is
true. Well, let's take a look at how cordial it was when they faced off here. There you go. Look at that.
Let's go!
Love to see it. So yeah, I mean, that's like I said, good energy. I thought that that was nice. And Michael Chandler is certainly that way, right? He's a guy that is going to be generally pretty friendly unless you go out of your way to be an asshole to him. But that does raise the question to me: is how dirty do you think that Michael Chandler is going to make this fight, considering how dirty he makes every one of his other fights?
I think it's going to be pretty dirty. I think it's also one of these fights that, hey, if it is going to be dirty, that's going to be good for Patty going forward. He's going to have the experience of fighting the literal dirtiest fighter of all time. So, yeah, I don't know. And what Beeb just said, am I the only one who isn't interested? I'm also not too interested in it because, like I said, this isn't like a blood feud between two people that want to get in. It's like, they said Michael Chandler needs a fight and Patty Pimblett was the guy to do it. They can build, like I said, building Patty's resume to get Michael Chandler on his way out against somebody who they believe is going to be the next talent. I don't know.
The other thing about it to me, when it comes to the interest level, is that this isn't really a very much of a needle mover fight. You know what I mean? Like this, like both of these guys, I guess for Patty, maybe, it's like a good step forward into higher level competition. So you could say that that's like the needle moving aspect of it. And that's fine. But with the way that Michael Chandler is perceived as a quote unquote elite fighter or not, depending on where you fall on that, that argument, like, it's not like a win over like a top guy the same way that it would be over another guy that is actually considered a top guy. Feel me?
It's not like anybody's curious if Patty is better than Michael Chandler. Like we know. We're just waiting for Michael Chandler to like get out the rankings. Like we don't necessarily need him to lose because we know the people around him are 10 times better than him. He just somehow is able to make his fucking way. So you can't really, take too much judgment off it. We've seen the rankings before and Josh Van pushed off the rankings. Once again, they're pretty fluky. So you can't really take that's what I'm saying. Anyway, so you can't really take too much judgment into it. But at the end of the day, I like it too. I agree, man. This one is just not doing it for me. Not the way that Tony and Bobby would. And I did ruin Elite's night, and I'm sorry. But yeah,
But a spade is a spade is a spade, right? I suppose. No, look, it's not that I don't like the fight, as in like I'm not gonna like not watch the fight. Obviously, I mean we're gonna watch the fight, and I'm not gonna dread watching the fight either. I mean,
right.
I'm certainly looking forward to it. I'm always looking forward to seeing Patty do his thing at this point, to be perfectly honest, because that's what he has cultivated, and that's what I like. The positive that I could say about this fight is that Patty has gotten himself to it. Because look, if Patty Pimblett was going out here and it was boring decision after boring decision, and the fights themselves were like, if it was the Jared Gordon fight over and over and over and over again, just against higher level competition, moving his way up the ladder that way, then there would be no interest really at all at that point. But Patty's doing his thing in a way that's entertaining to watch, I would say, relative to, you know what I'm saying? I mean, relatively enough to be interesting in that regard. And he's finishing fights often as well. So it's like, what more can you ask for out of this guy? He gets on the microphone afterwards and he seems to have a good handle on how to navigate that now as well. Like, yeah, this is a fine fight.
To Elite question, Patty and Chandler 3 or 5. I would pray to God it's 5, because this should be Patty's step up, and Chandler just came off of a 5-round fight. And isn't it the co-main event, or am I wrong?
Is this? Yeah, I guess maybe. I guess it is right there. Yeah, I guess maybe it is. Maybe it is the co-main event.
I mean, it's a good question. I wouldn't have thought about it off rip, but holy shit, this fucking card is so far away. Oh my God. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks until it. Or 6 if you don't,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's middle of next month.
Yeah, this is the co-main. Yeah, co-main.
So yeah, all right, some 5-rounder. I mean, there you go. Yeah,
I don't dislike it, but I think a lot of the fights that we see as these co-main events, obviously fucking like Cody Brundage and shit like that, do not deserve it. But on pay-per-views, we should be having 5-round co-main events, especially right now, with Patty. He needs that step up. He needs the opportunity that if 5 rounds has to come, that we see that a lot of times. Like, I think Peter Yan and Sugar Sean is a good example. It might not have been the co-main event, but like that's a fight that you probably should have saved for a moment where you could give them 5 rounds.
True. Yeah, and God knows what could have been different if that was 5 rounds, right?
Exactly. So I am, Fluffy and Brendan Allen, I also think should have been 5, but
You could feel that.
what can you do?
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I think that also Michael Chandler at this point has I don't want to say proven himself, because that's not the right way to phrase it, but he has shown that in 5-round fights he will make it entertaining through 5 rounds. At least in the last Oliveira fight, he showed that.
He'll be 100% ass, but he'll cheat 43% of the time and then also make you laugh the last 10 seconds. So
I was going to say, you say 100% ass. If he was 100% ass, Chase, would he have been able to stand up with Charles Oliveira on his back like a backpack, a human backpack, like Aljamain Sterling, and stand like the Undertaker? I don't think so.
yeah, it is pretty interesting to note that the only good thing, and I remember so I went to work after that card and I was telling my buddy about the fight. I was like, dude, there's this dude, Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira. He was like, oh, they went to war. I was like, no, not really. But at the last moment, he like stood up and it was like he was strong. Is that like, it was like one of those things where I couldn't talk about the fight itself. It's like, man, that was a really strong thing that he did. Like, go do powerlifting, brother. Like, that was probably what would suit you a little more. But it was fun. But like I said, you made me laugh in the last 10 seconds of your fight after you get beat on and cheat and whatever else you're about to do this fight. Michael Chandler is actually one of these dudes that I don't believe he'd casually do it. But like he might be looking for new ways to cheat. Like, I don't know.
He might be trying to take a page out of Manel Kopp's book and pull the closed fist open poke deal.
Dude, he might do a headbutt might come and he'll throw like a wild hook and like try to headbutt him or something.
Well, I mean, if they're not going to call shit, then have at it, right?
Facts.
Anyway, question in the chat from Beeb. Thoughts on Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes? That's a fight that I didn't think we'd have much to talk about with that. I mean, or that anybody really would have an interest in talking about that one. That's on 3/14?
The dude's name is Nikita?
Is it not? Yeah, Nikita Krylov, isn't it?
I never noticed that. Okay.
Krylov versus Reyes. Yeah, Nikita Krylov versus that's also 314. Hold on, I got you.
Probably a prelim bout. LOL.
It might be.
Oh, it shows it right on the side there, I think.
Yeah.
No, it is not. It's going to be the first on the main card, probably. No, Bryce and John will probably will.
Yeah, maybe. Well, so I mean, I don't know what the thoughts on this fight. I kind of like this fight. I like it for Reyes. I think that this is a winnable fight for Reyes, even though Krylov is one of those dudes that can also do his thing too. I mean, Reyes, of course, is coming off of 2 wins, but a very long losing streak there before. And Krylov is basically on the reverse of that. I mean, it wasn't as long of a losing streak, but he's on a 3-fight win streak right now. So, I mean, I think that there's some decent competition here.
I've been watching religiously for over a year now, and don't think I've seen Nikita Krylov. So,
you probably have. I mean, or at least a year ago against Ryan Spann.
Nope.
All right. Well,
the first time I saw Ryan Spann was against Anthony Smith for the rematch or whatever it was.
Well, I mean, Nikita Krylov is a decent striker. I would say. I mean, I think that, like I said, I think that Dominic Reyes has potential to win this fight if he is still on the trajectory that he has now set up for himself coming back after all of the losses. Dominic Reyes, I'll tell you something about Dominic Reyes right now. If Dominic Reyes can put together a nice win streak and continue it, this might be one of the better comeback stories that we've seen in MMA in quite some time. And I don't want to say that that's necessarily going to be the truth, but think about it. How many times have we had an opponent who has been able to break the curse of losing to John Jones and never doing anything ever again? I don't think that really almost ever. So this could really be something.
I honestly agree. And I think Dominic Reyes is probably the better option here, just because I've seen him actually perform well in the last, year. And yeah, good job, Ali. You picked a good one.
There you go. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you'll have to brush up on your Nikita Krylov fights and take a, take a little bit of a crash course on Krylov. That's your homework for today.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. He's probably not even that good.
I know. Well, yeah. I mean, he's 30-9, so I mean, he's definitely in the same ballpark realm as later on in the career with a whole lot of experience, but not necessarily ever reaching the highest highs, I would say. But he's not bad. I mean, he's definitely not terrible. That's why I'm saying I like this fight, because I think it has the potential to be competitive if Dominic Reyes is still on his shit.
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
Sorry, I'm looking at the names and the weights on the side specifically. I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anybody going up a weight class here.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that they had the full card there laid out. Darren Elkins fighting again. Let's go, Darren Elkins fight week.
Yeah, Sean Woodson. You know what's crazy? Dan Ige getting thrown this far down in the card under all these crazy people.
That is insane.
Roberto Romero and Alberto Moreno. Okay, sure, great.
Yeah, to have Dan Ige under Sumadarji
I mean,
and
Sean Woodson is
Mitch
also another person. It's like that's a rising prospect kind of deal. Like,
yeah. Well, I know that you're like. We can talk about Sean Woodson real quick, because I know that you feel this way. And I saw him live. I saw him get a beautiful knockout live. That was great. Yeah,
it won't happen again. I put money on that.
So all right, fair. But that's what I mean. Like Sean Woodson is one of those dudes that, like, I don't know. Like we talk about the eye test, and I want to believe. Because he has been doing his thing. Like, what's this record looking like now? Look at this. Boom. I mean, one draw in there, but like, I mean, on a 1, 2, 3, 4.
He lost to Julian Erosa.
Yeah. I mean, he did get choked by Julian Erosa, but I mean, other than that, this is all wins. He got his one loss to Julian Erosa, and it's all wins. So why am I not believing in Sean Woodson? Explain this to me.
From the eye test, I mean, he just looks like a dude. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it from your point of view, but all I can say is he's a very tall striker who's very meticulous. He's a very heavy volume striker where he's not going to put 100% into everything. He's going to do, you know, the Nick Diaz where he's going to give you 90% and just rip the body and go up top. And his boxing is really elite from that. He's starting to work in a lot more kicks into his game because he has such long legs. You know, the low kicks and the high kicks, specifically the high kicks, were looking really good. Not only was he doing that, but he was setting up, he was setting himself in a rhythm where he could catch his opponent off guard and knock him out in his last bout. Do I believe that'll happen again? No, because Sean Woodson, like I said, is a volume puncher, very decision merchant-y. But I think what's elite about him is that he can take away in numbers. He can strike for the entirety of the fight. When your arms get tired, his don't, and he's gonna go from landing 6 strikes in a combination to 4 when you go from landing 3 to 1, and you know, like he's gonna keep piling the numbers, and I don't know why. It's not seen more. I think the size at the weight class, and that's not even going into like his takedown defense ability. I know I've went into it before, and people swear it's not true. People who are tall and have long legs like Sean Woodson and Carlos Prates is another dude built just like him. When you grab one leg and go for the single, all they do is just hop backwards. They're very athletic and they don't seem to fall, and then they go right to the cage. And then you're not able to advance past them. They have actually elite takedown defense for what they are as a stand-up person. Like, you know, they're not out here sprawling their lives out, but you're not able to get a hold of them and get them on the mat. And when you do, they probably get up. Sean Woodson, I actually don't even know, other than Julian Erozic, one obviously was subbed, but I don't know if I've personally seen him taken down, like in his
Yeah, like a full-on takedown.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. And you know, that harkens back to the Ernesta, not Skate. Yes, Ernesta Skate. When she was just fighting recently, they were making the point on commentary that I thought was a very good one about how like taking down people with long legs like that is very difficult for exactly what you're talking about. They're able to balance a lot easier. Like the unless you really have them at an odd angle to the point where it's like their own body weight has to topple them. Like if they can keep their center of gravity with the long legs, they're just able to kind of maneuver the single leg that's still on the ground in a way that keeps them upright a lot better than people who have a lower base. So yeah, no, you're making good points. I think that you kind of did suss out why Woodson might have not passed the eye test before, is because I think that I had always thought of him as one-dimensional. And that's kind of what you're getting at a little bit with it being like volume striking and like, you know, good solid striking, but that like being just like within his wheelhouse and him not really wanting to move out of it. But now that he's starting to mix in the kicks a little bit more, I think that that's where the evolution starts to come in for me, and I'll start to come around a little bit more, be more well-rounded, and then the decision, it makes itself a lot clearer.
Yeah, this was pretty crazy to be so far down on the card. I do agree, but I mean, I will not complain making early money. That'll be good. Sean Woodson will probably win by decision. I mean, it's Dan Igue's thing to lose by decision right now. But I could be wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah. Unfortunate too, considering what a goddamn beast that guy is, but
true.
You know, and this could very well be a fight that Ige could win in the, you know, grand scheme of things, but we're going to have to see how everybody shows up for that one.
Right.
So Travis checking in asks thoughts on the JDM Bilal fight. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I actually don't think there's ever a time and place that I'll bet on Bilal, and it's because I just don't like the way he fights. Like JDM fights like a dude who's going to win me money, you know, and I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. You got 5 rounds, whether Bilal wrestles him for 5 rounds or not, he ain't going to finish him, right? We know that. So, and what JDM has is the ability to get up after being wrestled and beat for 2 rounds and getting a finish on Gilbert Burns. So I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. I think that I have gotten to the point that even if you don't like the style that Bilal Muhammad has, or if you are not a fan of him as a person, or any number of reasons that you'd like to go against the grain and not choose Bilal, he has proven time and time again that he is going to win those fights regardless of what anybody thinks about him. or what anybody or what any conventional wisdom might say when it comes to his opponent. For that reason, I cannot in good conscience bet against Bilal Muhammad at this point. Would I put an extra parlay down to have Jack Della on it? Maybe like one of those ones where it's like a bunch of confident picks and then, one with Bilal and one with Jack Della. Yeah, I'd probably do that. I'd probably be okay with that. But I got to stick with Bilal until Bilal shows me a reason that I shouldn't stick with him anymore. And really, going back to the Leon Edwards fight before that and the lead up to that, I think my eyes were opened a lot by that, because when we talked about this right here, not the Jeff Neal, but him not having knockout power, what we were talking about with against Sean Brady, and that being stopped on the feet and all that, right? It's like, yeah, he's not like, he might not have that kind of power in his hands. That it's not going to be his wheelhouse, but you see all of the green, all of these greens, except for the eye poke, no contest, whatever. You chuck that out. Lost to Jeff Neal. All right, a long time ago now, whatever. But other than that, couple, yeah, all right, Sente Luque, Alan Joban, whatever. I mean, we're getting into the nitty gritty here, but I mean, like,
he got his win back on Vicente. Don't worry.
Fair, and then, my point stays that like he has been for what? So I mean, like since 2019, the man has not lost a fight. I gotta stick with what is working. You know what I mean? Like, the dude, you can feel however you want to feel about him as a guy, but I mean, like, he is out here winning these fights. I think a lot of people thought that the Leon Edwards fight was going to be a lot closer than it was. Couple of choice moments in there for Leon. I think maybe like a round that was solid, and possibly that last round too. But overall, I mean, Bilal was doing his thing and having his way for the majority of that fight. He pile drive. He spiked Leon Edwards on his head. He spiked that man into the ground like a flag, planted him.
He pounded that name for him to remember it.
Exactly. He engraved the name so it could not be forgot. So for these reasons, I got to go with Bilal, and I know that it might be unpopular because he's unpopular, but the dude knows how to win a fight. And whatever you think about his secret juice usage out there in the mountains of Dagestan, that's up to you to believe. But whatever they're feeding them out there in Dagestan certainly does seem to be working, and is working for Bilal as well.
My theory is Bilal's going to come in with staff and JDM's going to take the belt.
All right, I like that. I mean, go ahead and make it. I mean, if Sean Strickland's staff did not work out so well for him, Bilal had to almost have a toe amputated. You know how bad that has to be?
Yeah, you know how bad. Like, I know everybody hates Bilal, but like, how bad the world must be against you for everybody to make fun of Connor's toe. But as soon as Bilal makes a joke, he gets the same like injury and almost has to lose his toe. I think that's just pretty funny and ironic.
Yeah. And I mean, it just honestly, like it sucks because I think everybody really wanted the Shavkat fight, which we still do. And that's the unfortunate thing about Jack even being in this fight at all right now. But Shavkat out, toe healthy. This is what you get. You gotta play the cards that you're dealt. So staff or otherwise, Bilal Muhammad, I mean, short of legitimately there being like a staff issue, I gotta believe.
I mean, as soon as you see a foot stomp in round one, you better be worried. I'm just saying.
You think that there could be a phantom staff just lurking in that toe?
It's got to be, dude. It was a bone spur, I think. So maybe that bone spurs back up once it gets stepped on. I don't know how it works. I'm not no doctor.
That's a good point. Yeah. That toe did look pretty nasty, though. I mean, that is absolute facts.
Hey, Richard. Tomorrow, Josh Van by. I would love to think KO because that's my guy, and Ray Sarua is not that fucking dude. But I will listen to all the boys telling me don't do it and pick Josh Van money line. Just go safe. Even though I do have one decision on one, but just go safe, do money line. Josh Van is gonna win.
Well, and so you had said before we started our stream tonight that you had a couple of opinions about some of the experts when it came to these predictions and whatnot. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
So, bro, it's just how bland that they expertly give these picks. Like, they just come out here and just be like, oh, yeah, Ankalaev money line. And it's like, okay, minus 150. Okay, dickhead. Like, that's an expert bet right there. Listen, You want an expert bet, right? I showed you the Nasrat Haqparast, right? Split decision. If you listen, I know,
Man, if you think that, but if you think that you're
no,
going to
no,
be able to hit
no,
like that
no, 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 no,
consistently,
no. I'm not talking about the parlay itself. I'm talking about that specific line. Nasrat Haqparast and whatever the fuck it, and Rebovic's split decision. Okay. If you think that was crazy to think, I don't know why, because if you go look at the lines for Justin Gaethje and Fiziev, right?
I don't know if they have them on here, but let's see.
Let me go. You know, it was plus 900.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
For no, for specifically
For like
split
the
decision.
props. Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be a little harder to find.
I think it's a really good play if you're listening. You got to pick one of these guys by split decision. One of them's plus 800, one of them's plus 900. I think Justin's the plus 900, but it's obviously going to be a 3-round war again. One of the judges is going to go for volume, which is going to go towards maybe Fiziev, and the other one's going to go for damage, which maybe goes to Justin, or it's going to go the other way around. I think this is a really good play on either of your ends because there's just no way I see this being unanimously to either one of them. They're going to go out here and slug it out. It's going to be one of these ones that are hard to score, but it's a really, really, really good play, and I'm telling you, to take one of these dudes by split decision if it is available on your book. It is a very and to think, because and even if you look at the odds, they're not very confident that one of them is going to win by unanimous decision. Like, you know, Fiziev to win by unanimous decision is plus 275. Like, do you really think he's going to convincingly win all 3 rounds coming off of a year layoff? Like, I'm just not seeing it. And then vice versa. It's really hard for me to think that one of these dudes doesn't win 1 round or you know, one judge's opinion. I don't know, bro. I'm thinking the split decision again for this one, and I'm gonna go with Fiziev on it. I'm not gonna lie. I think there's more for his career going forward. The judges could rob Justin, and Justin still has a lot. You know, he has money fights coming for him after this. Fiziev, if he loses, it's like, well, shit, now we got to find somebody who's like kind of ranked, kind of close, that's like equal skill set to get him in a needle moving position. But if he wins this here off a split decision robbery, he can move on. Justin could go to money fights. Bing, bang, boom, seal the deal.
Yeah, the narrative is certainly there in that regard. I'm sticking with my guns, even though I know and it's hard for me to do on this one because I do see all of the wisdom in what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like it all makes sense. But on this one, I'm feeling similar to how Elite was saying with Bryce and John Silva, where I'm like, this is why there may be, you know, one of those glitches in the matrix. There may be the curveball. There still might be the Justin Gaethje of old in there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like the Justin Gaethje that won all of those fights with run and gun. I mean, now granted, he has been a lot more strategic, but his strategic approach to fighting is what won him the fight with Fiziev. He didn't finish that fight. You know, I mean, that was a fight that was just 3 brutal rounds of knocking this dude around. I mean, there were some people who said that they thought that Fiziev did a little bit better than the scorecards would lead you to believe. I don't know.
And that's what I'm saying. I think the blood that Fiziev had was more of the majority of what the judges gave to Justin. And if Fiziev doesn't get cut like that, or if he does, then I still think one judge is going to give the other side of the coin. I just don't see a way. One, that these dudes finish each other when they didn't the first time, unless Fiziev comes out here and God, please don't get injured again. But I don't see a finish. They didn't do it the first time, and they were hitting each other hard as fuck. But split decision. I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you, if you guys miss, the reason that I like these is because like you got to look at the risk return. Like you can put 5 on him winning money line. Okay, Fiziev is minus 150, but if you get a plus 800 on the split decision. And it goes to decision. Like, I don't know, man. Obviously, it's a plus 800. You guys know it's obviously crazy. But, like, I don't think it's that fucking crazy. Like, these dudes are going to go hit each other for 3 rounds. Not all 3 judges are going to say, yeah, Justin whooped his ass. Or, yeah, Fiziev whooped his ass. Like, this is an easy one right here. And I think the lines are so inflated. Like, I don't think like a plus 8 or 900 is like actually realistic to what it should be. I just think nobody bets on it. Like, it's just a high ass line because nobody's fucking putting money on it. But that doesn't seem out of the realm with me. I don't know. This is
no. I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm. It's just that it's a long shot for a reason, you know. So it's like a lot of people are going to be like, there's, there's the likelihood, you know what I mean? Even because a lot of times we have where fights probably should be split decisions, like that don't end up being split decisions. You know, how many times did that happen? But I mean, look, a little small money sprinkle on that kind of thing is not necessarily the worst thing that you could do. So I can see where the logic comes in here.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to go a little harder than a sprinkle sometimes, and it goes crazy. I think this one, I think right here, I think this one is going to be good, along with some other ones. But what is Anderson? Not a split decision. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a dominant 30-27 physique. Justin is going to look slower and way more washed.
That is spicy right there. You really think that Justin is that far out of the game at this point to think that he's going to look slower and way more washed?
I mean,
washed, he says.
Listen. If you believe either one of the coin, this is why I think this is better. Right. If you believe either one of them is going to dog walk the other, a plus 450 for Justin or a plus 275 for Fiziev is way better than what you were getting on the money line. I'm just saying. And I don't think they're going to finish each other. So whether you think it's unanimous or whether you think it's split, I think is where you got to go for it. And whether it's actually what you think the judges will do. That's always, that's the superior way to look at it. It's not what you believe or what you think. I mean, yes, I bet for a lot of my favorites, but it's because I do listen to Vegas and I go with where the lines are, but you gotta go for it, and you gotta know what you're looking at here. And Fiziev and Justin, I mean, these are two dudes that'll strike until the bell, and they will punch each other and take punches. So I don't know. I just don't see them getting finished.
And you're not at all worried about any type of ring rust for Fiziev being out for quite a while. I mean, granted, Justin's been out too. So, DC was trying to say that Justin's been out to let his chin heal up, which I thought was an interesting way to phrase that. But okay.
But then what you got to sit here and realize is like, okay, I'm going for the split, right? Okay, so now we got to pray that the ring rust does catch up and they're just a sloppy first round that you can't score at all.
And I mean, if you're specifically trying to sell the split decision here, I could see that being like, okay, we want a little bit of ring rust, have it be a really close first and second round, and then whatever, one very close round, and then one guy each on the other two, perhaps. But I mean, because I'm seeing the chat's saying, Fiziev is going to finish, Justin's washed. It's like, well, I mean, if that's going to be the case, or if it's as dominant as people are thinking that he maybe doesn't finish, but is so close to finishing that it's almost the reverse of the fight that we saw last time, then perhaps no judge does in their right mind think that Gaethje's going to win, even if it's a sympathy vote,
Yeah, that one is crazy. I'm trying to think of the other ones that I'm looking at that are obviously locks. Excuse me.
Did you want to do? I can throw the link in if you want to bring Elite on. Elite wants to try to sell us on the Rizvan Kuniev victory over Curtis Blades. Do you think that this is a safe idea here?
I was listening to him just a little bit ago. He was explaining his story. I'm still not 100%, but I did tell him if my prelim parlay hits, I will surely put something on him for you. So I'm not confident in it, but if I got extra money lying around, we'll see what Kaniev's got.
All right. Well, I mean, then I'll throw it in here. If you want to send it over, you can go ahead. If not, then we'll keep going. But he's not heading up on here. He's okay. Got you. Fair enough. All right, then. I mean, as far as other fights from this card, let's talk about the ladies real quick, because I feel like this is a fight that nobody really is like putting too much credence into or caring all that much about. But I want to give them their proper due. We talked about it a little bit on the show. I mean, is there nothing of value in this fight? Is that what it is, or is we're thinking that this is we need to have diversity on here. There's no real no real actual entertainment to be had in this fight. I want to believe that Amanda Lemos can come out here and get this thing done.
I don't really mind her. I mean, this will be a decent women's fight, but hopefully this is just a nail in the coffin for Lemos. So she can just be on her fucking way for real, because she's lost. No, okay, she's lost to top competition, of course, so she's not the worst. But it's like she ain't beating anybody at the top anytime soon. She's just too deficient in her skill set. She got where she's at by beating a lot of people who weren't that good, unfortunately. So maybe okay, what she beat Jessica Andrade by some no, she got subbed by Jessica Andrade. I think
She beat Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, like I don't
Right.
know.
And Michelle Watterson at the very, very end of her career.
Yeah. So I mean, this is just a journeyman type of deal, and this hopefully is on her last leg. If she somehow gets a dub at 37, it's going to be unfortunate because, like Elite wants to point out, and I will point this out, Yasmin Lucindo has been a pro mixed martial artist since the age of 15. So she's got some experience. She has lost a lot of fights. Earlier in her career, Gabriela Fernandez, the woman who beat Ms. Wang Tong, she actually beat Yasmin way long ago.
Right.
But
and a loss to Yasmin Hagari too. Oh, that doesn't age well.
So I don't know to believe it. She is younger. She has been doing this a while, but I don't know.
I'm thinking that strength of wins and strength of veteran status. I'm pulling the savvy vet card on this one. I think that Lemos is. I mean, because this is to be perfectly honest, there's really not that many great dogs on this card. I want to say, like, I mean, like, there's we all know about Bruno Ferreira. That's like kind of the dog that everybody's gravitating towards, which I think is a smart move. But like, other than that, I mean, I have a couple that have a few dogs sprinkled in there just to have some diversity in the parlays, but like there's not that many that jump out as like this is the one that everybody's overlooking aside from Fajeda. So like I think that if you're going to have any possibility for there to be a couple of like decent underdog upsets, it would be something like this fight where you have a fighter who's been around for a while and has only lost to like pretty decent competition versus a fighter who is younger for sure, but her wins are not super impressive. They both beat Marina Rodriguez. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, that's not that's whatever. That's a okay win, I guess. Polyana Viana is not. I struggle to even call her a mixed martial artist at this point. She's I think she's more of a cosplayer. Right. More ways than one. And then and Brogan Walker, I mean, is she even still fighting? It's like, come on, man. I mean, like these are not like amazing victories here. So like for her to go all the way up to Lemos, who has challenged for the belt, she did very poorly in that fight, of course, but still, I mean, like, yeah, so she's not going to necessarily be an elite fighter. She's not going to hold a belt at any point or whatever. Like, she reminds me of Tyler Santos. You know what I'm saying? Like, she reminds me of Tyler Santos in the sense that she's one of those ones that it's like, if she went over to PFL, she'd probably do pretty decently, and then she would fight Dakota Ditcheva and lose to Dakota Ditcheva. So, like, a fight like this, I think she should be able to win this fight.
I think Amir's making some good things in the chat. Why take, don't take the, no, just above that, he said something.
Yeah, got you. Yep. Oh, yeah. I got you.
Yeah, why are you betting on someone who's 15 years older? They always do that stat where it's like 64% of the people who are 12 years younger win, blah, 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 blah. So we'll see when they post it up.
Because this is women's MMA, Amir. This is not a different set of metrics. Age does not matter as much when it comes to the ladies. Sometimes it does. That is certainly true. But sometimes that comes from a different set of life circumstances and priorities. That's sometimes when it comes to the ladies, the priorities are just a little bit different. Not every one of these ladies is out here trying to be the champ. I mean, a lot of them do want that or whatever, but like, I think that life just kind of like, maybe I'm talking a little bit off base here, but I'm going to stick with the line of thinking. Sometimes, it's like you go out there and you fight and you win or you lose, whatever. It's like the priorities are not always the same when it comes to like the way that they take the losses and how they like process that information. I think that there are some fighters, and like I think that Lemos could certainly be one of them, where it's like, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to get this win. It doesn't matter if like, because I think a lot of times we're talking about the mentality here when it comes to the men that if you start taking a couple of losses, it like messes with your mentality a little bit where it's like, maybe I'm not that guy anymore. Maybe I'm not the person that I thought I was, blah, blah, blah. Like here, I'm thinking it's slightly different where it's like, she's out, she's been here doing her thing. Got this person that she's not necessarily like thinking that is super superior to her. Cause why would she think that? I think this is a winnable fight in her mind. So go out there and get the job done.
Yeah, this will be interesting. I mean, it is. I was gonna say it's like, Yasmin has more losses than Amanda does at 23 than Amanda does at 40, whatever, or 37. But also looking at it, Yasmin does have more wins than Amanda Lemos in that same regard, So I don't know. This is interesting. I'm gonna take Yasmin by decision though. That's what I got in the slip.
Yeah, I've got Lemos by decision. So we're in the same. We're in the same boat, different outcomes here. But I mean, we both made our cases here. So you can kind of take the information from both of us. I will say that Chase has had a much better time with accuracy in his predictions. So maybe you should listen to him a little bit more than me, but I'm giving you the counter argument. But how about that?
Yeah, it's been a good time. I'm really listen, I know I wouldn't feel so high about the split decision if I wouldn't have found out about that line last week and hit it, of course, but like I'm really, whenever I see that split decision or unanimous decision ticket available, like for example, Chris Gutierrez is a good one to find by unanimous decision. I believe if he's going to win, it's going to be by unanimous decision, boring leg kick all the way to. And look, Chris Gutierrez by unanimous decision plus 180 right there. And that's not that much better than regular decision, to be honest. But it's not, but it's going to happen. So that's what the word is.
All right. I mean, that sounds perfectly acceptable to me. I think that Gutierrez gets the job done in this fight. I mean, this was one that kind of I'm right that this got added a little bit later, right? Yeah. So I was like, when this got added, it certainly was not like very much of a needle mover. It's kind of more of a slot filler fight. Gutierrez has kind of always been the dude that's just spam kick, and that's about it. But he spams kick, and kick is effective. So it seemed like a pretty decent slam dunk to me, especially with Castaneda coming off of a loss. Who was that loss to? Oh, to Daniel Marcos. Yeah. I mean, that's okay. So yeah, I mean, I think that taking Gutierrez, at least if you want to take it like with method involved as well, then you can go for that. But I think solid victory here. But that's, again, I'm trying to look for a couple of like dogs that actually like might bark here. Actually, I did want to talk about one now, and you're going to call me very crazy for this, but let's talk about this fight real quick. Carlos Leal versus Alex Morono. The craziness of this line. These odds are even better than what they're going for on my book. On my book, Leal is a minus 800, and Morono is I think he's a plus 500 or something around that range. My book's odds are terrible. But that being said, do you think there's any chance for Alex Morono? Because I think there just might be. I've been thinking about it more and more, man. I've been thinking about it a lot.
Yeah, hype aside from the dude just being a guy who throws meaty hooks. I mean, Alex Morono, I said this on the Monday show, he might be able to pull off a performance where he's able to dance on the outside and just pop him with jabs the entire time. I mean, that's what he does. He's got really good footwork for how big of a dude he is. He's able to be real light inside and out. Carlos Leal, like I said, is just a meaty hook merchant at times. So Morono might be able to just dodge a bit, change the angle, and just pop him up and just not get cut off on the cage. He might be able to push him back a little bit once he actually starts getting, he lands a good strike that makes Carlos respect the power, gets him on the back foot, and then Morono might be able to turn it up a little bit. He's not going to finish. Another solid decision if it's going to go for Morono, I would say.
So then there you go. I mean, could this then be, because I mean the the line on that must be crazy money, right? If he's a plus 525 here, I mean, him by decision, if you go with method as well, that's got to be what, a plus 1,000?
But I think I'm learning is like this is just not the way. Is because like you watch these fights and the Carlos Leal will starch him in 1 minute and you go, well, there you fucking go. Like that's
Right.
exactly why he was a minus 800 or whatever. But like, yeah, these ones, it's not the unpredictability. I think it's just the hope that we give a lot of these fighters. It's like, oh my gosh, he's not a plus 500. And then we start to just build up the aura that they really don't have, because if they were good, they would never in their right mind be a minus over 300, 200, or you know, plus 200, 300, whatever it is. Like, you know, like Josh Van is not a fucking plus 300, 400 fighter. Like in no right mind would you ever, and like, I know I'm comparing, you know, apples and fucking bananas here, but I don't know. If Morono was decent, he would not have this big old ticket on him.
Well, I have a friend. Shout out to my boy Kevin. We were talking
Crazy
about.
Kev, really?
No, yeah. Not that Kev. No friend of mine. No, different Kev. But shout out to my buddy Kevin. He's a bit of a gambling man himself, and he was saying that he had seen, and I'd like to be able to actually like find this information that he's talking about. I'm gonna have to ask him if he can like link it to me at some point if he can find it. But he had said that when it comes to these fights that have these crazy disparities in the line, where you've got like a minus 900, to a 1,200, whatever it is, and then a crazy plus money fighter on the other side, that the plus money fighters, the underdogs, have a better shot of winning than when the lines are closer and more traditional. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'd have to see what that exact number is, like what the reality of that situation actually is. But we saw it with Hani Barcelos. I mean, I always go back to Peyton Talbot, because he was such a hyped fighter. We saw a bunch on that card, not just Hani Barcelos, but if you recall, there were a couple of fighters on there. That was Clayton Carpenter. He wasn't one of the crazy favorites, but he was on that card, lost his O that night. There were three, if I recall. I'm forgetting who the third one is off the top of my head. But my point is that sometimes these fighters that are, in a position that is highly elevated can get upset pretty, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, I guess, to an extent. So I want to hold out a little bit of hope. And I want to hold it out the way that you were describing it, that Morono can game plan this thing in a way that is a little bit more effective, especially all of this hype coming in on Leal, who is coming off of the loss to Fakhretdinov.
A debut loss.
His debut in the organization as well, which we know is not uncommon. And that, we've seen that often, guys coming into the organization and taking a loss in their first fight. But Morono is another, I want to hope, at least somewhat savvy veteran, even though he is on a 2-fight losing streak himself. And these losses both kind of suck. But
Facts.
I mean,
Facts.
But I still, I want to believe. So for that reason, I put a small money parlay with Morono on it, very, very small single unit parlay. And if that hits, then we are eating good in the neighborhood.
There you go. That's the word on the street.
True. Amir wanted to ask about donating. Yes, Amir, thank you very much, my dude. I appreciate the interest in that. There is a donation link on I believe we have it on Twitch, and I don't have it on YouTube. My bad for that, if that's the case. But I will I can throw it in the chat. Hold on. Let me do that.
I sent Elite the link. I didn't actually think he wanted to join. I don't even know if he'll be able to, but we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Well, Elite, if you are trying to join and you do anything that's going to get us TOS'd, you know that I am going to stick my foot up your ass. So be very careful with how you navigate on this stream. But you are welcome to come in and make your case for Rizvan Kuniev. We'll give you a little bit of time, give you the floor for a minute. Use it wisely. But yes, But Amir, either way, even if you don't donate, bro, thank you very, very much for the interest in that. As we grow the channel, there'll be more opportunities to support. Actually, if you really wanted to support, boom, Chase knows what I'm talking about right there. Chase Parton has MMA Hive and last week's fights shirts available. You can hit up Chase at CP Smalls on Instagram or Creative Parton on Twitter. He will get you hooked up with a shirt, and that is the best way to support right now because you get these shirts before anybody else does. These are prototypes. These are made by Chase himself. This guy right here is an entrepreneur when it comes to the merch game, and you can be rocking some merch of your own. So whether or not you donate through the link, that's cool. I very much appreciate it. We appreciate the support, but the shirt, not only do you support, but you get to wear it out and tell people about it in public as well. So that's another great way to support is just by word of mouth. Also, tell your friends about the stream.
And they look fucking good.
They look great. I have to say, man, every time that I've been wearing them, Vitz Kings wears his all the time. I mean, like, people are digging these shirts. I mean, we're going to get a little bit, maybe a little bit thicker material on some of them. I think might be the move.
True.
Other than that, the designs themselves are really, really nice, and people are very much enjoying them. And Lord knows that Chase has been doing that work to get them out to people. So shout out to Mr. Parton here.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. So thank you, Amir. Much appreciated to you, my guy.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't get to shout you guys out too much, but Amir, like I said, or like Thinker said, it's the appreciation for the attempt,
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, general note for everybody. We really do appreciate you guys. We appreciate you here. We appreciate you on the Monday streams for sure. Make sure that if you are available on Monday nights, myself and Chase Parton right here, we have a whole podcast where we do basically what we're doing right here and a little bit more structure, going over all of the fights from last week. So we will be watching on Saturday tomorrow to watch the fights. And then Monday we'll be talking about each and every one of them on last week's fights. So thank you guys so much for the support, as always, because it really does mean the world to both of us. We really appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
So I don't know if Elite's going to be showing up or not. He's
Dude, I'm telling you,
this guy,
this guy.
Well, whatever. We can keep it moving. Let's. What else is going on in the MMA world outside of these events that we have? Oh, did you see that link that I had sent you about the fighter who stepped in to take the place of his twin brother? Did you see that? I think it was when you were at work. Okay. This is going to be a little tough for me to find. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to. But so the basic story, let me see if I can do this here. The basic story is that there was a fighter in Germany who stepped in. He has a twin brother and stepped into a competition to take the place of his brother when his brother got injured, to try to like keep him going in the competition. So it was like a twin swap situation.
This is a very common thing in sports. I don't know if you've heard of these stories before. So in the NBA, there's these two brothers, Marcus Morris and Markieff Morris. They both got drafted to the same teams and eventually got, traded or whatever. Well, one of them twisted his ankle right before the playoffs. And then the next game, running fine, playing great, nothing really seemed like it was the matter or whatever. But the theory is that his brother played in the game for him. His twin brother.
Did they ever find out if it was actually that?
It was never really stated if it was like an investigation type of thing, but like they've openly said like, yeah, we just like kind of do that sometimes. Like we'll just go switch each other's day up and just go live as each other, because like they have the same tattoos and shit. Like they're like twins. They are down to the core twins.
That's wild. To get the same tattoos is nuts, because that's how these guys got figured out.
Yeah.
Who are these people here? Joshua and Jeremias Homburg are the fighters here. What was the promotion? Let's see.
It's got
GMC.
Scandal in Bet Rug. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so this is basically these dudes swapping in to continue the path of I guess to victory. I don't know, but that was what gave it away was the tattoos, because you can even see in the picture here, like right, you see it a little bit there. One on the arm too, and this guy I guess has no tattoos. But it was funny because they say in this article that like the brother with the tattoos tried to be sneaky about it and like came out with a towel over the chest. And it's like, bro, what are you gonna do when you're actually in the fight, though?
Yeah. You know, he's a thinker. I tell you, that makes me think about another basketball reference. Back when Michael Jordan was in the Olympics and they didn't want the Jordan sign or whatever, so he just hung the American flag over his jacket. He didn't want the Reebok logo to show because obviously that's what it was. They had Reebok, so he hung the American flag over his shoulder and walked with it. So that was
there you go. You know, and that's sometimes how you have to do it. You got brand integrity, very important.
Now going out there with full on tattoos. I mean, maybe the story, if you would have went up to the ref and been like, "Yo, don't get me some extra Vaseline. You know, these are new tattoos." So, you know, you could have tried something, but the faded tattoo idea, you know.
The problem though is that since it was a tournament, his brother had already competed in the tournament earlier on. So it's like that's the whole thing, is that in the same tournament, his brother kind of got a couple of injuries that sort of like, you know, I like a leg injury or something that was going to kind of sideline him, and then homeboy comes out with you know, looking fresh as a daisy plus tattoos. It's like, nice. you got those in between rounds.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So yeah, this was a kind of a wild story, but there, you know, another day in the MMA world as far as I'm concerned, right? You know.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Well, I'm trying to think if there was any other like interesting stuff that's been going on. I guess Dan Hooker had his hand surgery. I don't know if we want to necessarily take a look at that gruesomeness, but that was
did you see the new meme that Merab made?
Was that him and Sean O'Malley in the pool?
In the jacuzzi together.
Yeah, that honestly, not a bad Photoshop of that, because I thought it was real for a second.
It's not Photoshop. That is actually, yeah, that's them. Here, yeah,
that's legit. So why are they hanging together in the jacuzzi? What is going on here?
I mean,
just two bros hanging out in the jacuzzi.
Yeah, I just tagged you in the picture where it's like the whole group in there too. It's like a full. They like recreated the.
Okay, I don't have Discord open, but
which I think is a funny thing. It's like, haha, Umar, jacuzzi. I did it now. Like, I don't get the joke. You know,
this is just strangeness. Can you put it in the studio chat?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll throw that up here in a second. Turn this off.
Maybe. There we go.
Got you. Okay. Let me grab this real quick. Take a look at this. I thought it was Photoshopped because I was like, surely these two are not hanging out in the jacuzzi together. Surely this isn't it. But it is it. Just these guys chilling.
Mirage, so, you know, never a slow day, you know.
Look at all of these dudes just chilling in this is almost reminiscent of the Habib team photo in the shower.
That's what they're recreating there.
Oh, is that they're specifically trying to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if they were,
because that's what, you know, and actually North made a great point earlier. It's like Merab isn't even in the photo Umar's not even in the photo that Merab is memeing. That's why at the press conference he kept saying jacuzzi, you know.
Gotcha.
And so they finally did this, but it's like, bro, Umar's not even in the photo. Like,
now I'm understanding. Okay, I think I was a little lost there for a second, but yeah, now I'm with it. All right, yeah. Well, you know, bros just doing bro things, right? I mean, Peyton Talbot hanging out with Frank Ocean. They probably do some jacuzzi time too when they're not pole dancing and painting each other's nails. I mean, this is just what dudes do.
I also want to make one more note, which I think is very funny on the Twitter space, is that Roster Watch is broke, boys and girls.
We were talking about this a little bit. Yes, Roster Watch. What is going on with Roster Watch? It's UFC.
Nope, not that one.
Yeah, that's that one. I saw it. Yeah, hold on a second. I got it. Yeah, this guy right here was saying, oh yeah, not only is he a flat earther like Bryce, but also that he
Irishman.
Yeah, he was out there with his Irish accent telling us all about his lack of he was telling us about his belief that the earth is not spherical, but in here saying that he doesn't have the $250 a month to continue to pay for his golden check, which I don't even know what the golden check really does on Twitter. Like, it's not the blue check, it's a gold check. What does the difference? I don't know.
Business account, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, perhaps that is it.
I
But
think
he
gray
is,
celebrity, blues verified, like you can pay for the verified, and then gold might be business something.
wow. So he's saying that not only is he willing to sell his account, but he is also willing to OnlyFans himself for this project that he has here, this roster watch. That's a somewhat dramatic measure to take to keep your account going. I guess he likes doing this thing enough to go the OnlyFans route. I don't know what kind of content he would be doing on OnlyFans. I mean, all I ever know him as is the little hat. So what could he possibly do on OnlyFans that would entice people to want to subscribe, I wonder?
Yeah, isn't the mystery part of the whole thing?
I would maybe. I mean, or maybe he just does an OnlyFans where it's just like a donation thing.
I'm surprised that this account makes less than $250 a month. Dude, he makes like $10 a month. He's posted it.
Yeah, 12. He says it right here. Yeah, $12 a month.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Elite. You want to bring Elite in real quick?
Go for it. Let's hear his kunai.
All right. Like I said, Elite, if you can hear me in the waiting room right now, be careful to not TOS us, all right? Because that would be very, very bad. But we're going to bring you on in good faith. Oh, he just left again for some reason. All right. Elite's having some issues.
Yeah, it's probably because he thought he couldn't get on or something.
Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, we were about to bring him on. I was just about to do it. There. All right. He's back. All right. Elite, we're going to bring you on, brother. All right. Here we go.
Me?
There you are, bro.
Okay, good.
All right,
you're on. A minute.
You got a minute, and you also got football on in the background. Is that okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, come on, mate. Well, you're not even ready. Lord have mercy. But yeah, so roster watch.
I've got a minute. Is that what you're telling me? I've got a minute.
No, you got a little bit more than that.
Yeah, we'll give you a little bit. But what do you got to say about Rizvan Kuniev over here? You got this is your platform to sell us.
Rizvan Kuniev. People are underestimating Rizvan Kuniev.
Why?
He's going to go in there. All right. He's going to be a little, tit for tat. Like, Blades is going to land a few strikes. Rizvan's going to land a few strikes. He's going to go into the clinch against the fence. Rizvan is going to land a really hard elbow. All right. It's going to put Blades down. And he's going to finish Blades. It's going to be an early stoppage. It's going to be a weird stoppage. Mark Goddard, he's going to stop it early.
Do we know that Mark is the referee? Or
I don't know.
Okay.
If he is, it's going to be an early stoppage.
Okay.
If it is Mark Goddard, I will certainly believe that this is something that's going to happen.
All right. So you're thinking it's going to be a cheeky, quick elbow situation.
I really think Rizvan's going to knock him out, bro. I actually really believe it. I'm going to put money on it as well. You'll see the bets, bro. I'll put money where my mouth is.
How much are you putting on it?
Maybe 40, 30.
Wow.
Depending on how much I win in the prelims.
No, that's quids. No, that's quids. It's only like $20. Don't let them trick you.
Either way.
Quids are more quids are better than dollars.
Don't let them lie to you. They don't know how money works over there.
Quids are more valuable than dollars.
Okay, so you going with Kanaev by KO TKO. Yes, Dr.
Plus 800, yes.
Plus 800
for a KO.
That's the same odds as Fiziev by split decision, by the way, buddy. Think about that.
I think Kuniev wins. I think he knocks him out badly.
I hear you.
Lazy chinny.
He is the greatest heavyweight wrestler in the UFC history, buddy.
When was the last time he took someone down?
I cannot tell you that answer.
Exactly.
But the stats do not lie.
Did he take Chris Dawkins down?
Yeah, probably. Ground strikes.
Chris Dawkins? What weight is he? He's heavyweight?
Across the ground strikes. Yeah. Both Dawkins brothers.
Oh, there's a brother.
Dawkins is heavy. Didn't he just fight? Who did he just fight?
Was it Chris that just fought?
No, he just fought the Brazilian guy, the guy that just got chinned by Alan. That was like heavyweight.
Nope, that's Bukauskas. This is Daukus. Oh my god.
Yeah, Dawkins not necessarily it's been a tough time for Chris Dawkins.
He lost to Alexander Romanov in grappling? What in the world?
No way. Is that actually true?
Yeah, lost to him in grappling fury.
Yeah,
Yikes.
pretty
So,
bad.
but I mean, the question is not did he lose to Romanoff in grappling? The question was did he take down? Did Curtis Blades take him down? Is the question. So, were there takedowns in this
I
fight?
don't watch tape that much, so that's on news. Do you guys watch tape?
Yes, most.
I mean,
I'm watching all the fights that come on live.
Exactly. I mean, like I go back and try to do a little bit of research on it at the very least, but I guess they don't
It's
have it
happened
on
in
here.
Columbus,
I try,
Ohio,
but I just can't, bro. Sometimes it just takes too long. There's so many fights to like research.
True. Yeah, well, that's the thing is that like I really try to go back and like pick out specific things to find out about here, but it doesn't look like they have
So
like
do you,
the
so
information on
Finker,
here.
do you ever have locks on the card?
I mean, I have locks like it that I think, you know, I mean,
What
yeah,
about underdog locks?
I know we were talking about that in the Discord earlier about like
Yeah.
if you can have an underdog lock or not. I think you can. I think
I
it's
think
perfectly
I had Sam
acceptable.
Patterson. He was plus 250. He won in the first round KO.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, if you believe it and that's who you're locked in on, then yeah. I mean, that's good luck.
Chris tried saying it was because I was British, but I don't agree with that. I thought he won in the first round.
Elite is not picking Kunaev as his underdog lock.
I am. No. Bruno's my underdog lock.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Kunaev is an underdog.
Yeah, see, he's not the underdog lock, so that should just let you know where the confidence level is.
Bruno is my confidence lock. I love Bruno.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Bruno's probably everybody's confident underdog lock on this one. And there's not that many underdogs, like as we were saying earlier, is that there's really not that many underdogs that are like sticking out as like that's a really, really good value anyway. So yeah, I mean, so if that's fine. I mean, but I think that when it depends on how you define locks. Like, are you saying that like this is like do you have multiple locks and you're like these are the ones that I am dead set
I
certain?
think Bruno wins against Arman at least 70% of the time, in my opinion.
Right. You know, again, Arman's Petrosian. I was like, whoa, wait a second. Like,
I'm Petrosian. I think he loses to Bruno 70% of the time. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, too bad they only fight once, but we'll see.
Well, they fight once, and 70%, I think Bruno wins.
I think it's 100% Bruno knocks him out. I'm not scared. I have no fear.
But I mean, we're getting off the subject here. I mean, is you came on, you were going to sell us on Kuniev getting this win, but all you said is yeah, I think he's going to land an elbow and that's it.
Oh,
but I mean, like so lead us through it. How is this going to happen? Is Curtis going to go into shoot?
Because he is a debutant and he is going to fight in number 5 in the world, I believe. He's number 5, right? Curtis Blades, number 5.
Is he still that high up? God damn,
I don't
heavyweight
know,
sucks.
but he did just fight for the belt. So
does not say.
True, he did just fight for the fake belt. So
yeah, that is the runner-up
belt. Curtis is up there, but I don't think heavyweight is that skilled. And I think this Dagestani, he's not undefeated, but he's on a really good win streak, and he's about to fight Curtis Blades, who every single loss of Curtis Blades' career has been by KO. Yes, by good competition, by hard punchers. Francis Ngannou, Tom Aspinall, Derek Lewis. But Kuniev has power. He also has decent grappling. And people think that but Blades is going to grapple. But Blades has not shot a takedown in 3 years. 3 whole years.
Mate, back up from your mic. How about that for a second? And then we'll continue on. Yeah,
sorry.
You got to just.
Yeah, fair. And thank you for that, Chase. So
I apologize.
No, you're fine, brother. You're fine. The counter to that would have been, to me, Jonathan Janice, who came in. I mean, granted, he had a fight before he was shot up against Marcin Tybura, but we saw what happened when a close to debuting fighter got their big shot. So I mean, all these things that like are good attributes. He's had those good attributes against guys who are not necessarily anywhere near the level of skill and acumen that we've got in someone like Curtis Blades, who's been in this game for as long as he has. So.
Yeah, fair enough. But you know, at the end of the day, right? Curtis Blades, he's been knocked out in every single one of his losses. He's been knocked out, I believe, 5 times now. He's fighting a guy with decent grappling, decent power, decent striking. Like he's well-rounded. Rizwan Kuniev is well-rounded. I feel like he's gonna get KO'd. I don't think Blades can land takedowns here. and it's going to be a striking match. And people think that Blades is going to be at the advantage here. I don't agree with that. I think Rizwan is the much better striker here.
Much better striker.
I believe so. Yeah, that's my opinion.
But what I guess the only other question that I have then is why are you so confident that he's not going to be able to get in and initiate the wrestling?
I think he can. I think he can initiate wrestling in the cage control. I don't think he can initiate wrestling in the I don't think he can get Blades down, but I think he can initiate the cage wrestling. That's what Kuniev does. He's really good at cage wrestling. And I think he can get the grip going. And then, in my opinion, the finish will come from an elbow in the clinch. I think an elbow is going to come through, and I think it's gonna. I think Blades is not going to like it, and I think it's going to put him down. And it's going to be like I don't know if Mark Goddard is refereeing, but whoever is refereeing it's going to be an early stoppage, in my opinion. Okay. Maybe an early stoppage.
All right, that's a bold. Do they have that on the books? Is there
We're
a proper early stoppage?
It's not on the books, but it happened, and I don't know why. I can just see it, bro.
Okay, all right. No, I'm hearing what you're saying. I do want to offer the counter argument from the chat now. Amir is asking, that it's saying, as a counter to what you said about him being knocked out in his defeats. He's saying that Curtis has only been knocked out by the best fighters in the world, like Tom Aspinall. So
true, it is true.
Because then, and you also have to think about this aspect of it, man. Is that when if this plays out the way that you're saying that it's going to, then then what we are now understanding would be that Rizvan Kuniev is this low-key killer that has been bubbling below the surface and now comes into the organization and immediately jumps to 5th place in the world. Well, let me
just tell you something. The heavyweight division is kind of shit and washed.
Well, we know that. That is certainly true. I do agree with you on that.
It wouldn't be opposed. Like Rizvan Kuniev just needs to beat Curtis Blades and he's in the top 5. That's all he needs to do, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Debut to top 5. I just don't think that they would let that happen. They wouldn't give somebody who could
heavyweight is so washed. Tom needs opponents. John will not fight him. It will be Tom versus these. Listen, the next fight is Tom versus Garn, and once Tom takes him down and subs him, it's going to be Tom versus Almeida, and then we're going to need new heavyweight.
Well, so then let me ask you this, all right? Because I think that this is a good way to frame it. Talashin Teixeira comes in and eliminates Justin Tafa easily, right?
I like Talashin, yeah.
And so do I. Do you think then Talashin Teixeira comes in and does the same thing to Curtis Blades?
Oh, that's a close one. Honestly, I think he could knock out Curtis Blades. It's possible. He's really big. He has a lot of power as well. It's one of them. I don't know how good Curtis Blades is, because if you look at Curtis Blades' last fights, he got finished by Tom. What was before that? He beat Jalton Almeida by a really, really lucky, weird hammer fist. You know what I mean? You got ragdolled in the first round.
Lucky. I'd say that's savvy veteran move to know that.
Fair enough. Okay, but he did get ragdolled in the first round. It was one of them. It was a weird KO, in my opinion. Really weird KO. I think Almeida would beat him in a rematch. That's just my opinion.
All right. Well, I guess then that's the opinion then, eh? Right. I think that if you're going to sell people on it, then that's about as good a case as you can make,
bro.
Right?
I just don't think at this point Curtis Blades, right? It was a really weird KO. It wasn't like the best KO in the world. It was just like Jalton Almeida got in the wrong position and he started landing hammer fists. Like he did ragdoll him in the first round.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha. All right. Well, then I guess that's we're hearing what you're saying, and now anybody who's watching, you can take that information, and if you think that Elite has made a strong enough case,
at the end of the day, bro, Kuniev and Blades are fighting tomorrow night.
That's right.
So if I'm right, I'm right, bro. At the end of the day,
we will find out in just a few hours. Absolutely,
we will find out.
Well, then Elite, so this we're gonna let you go in just a second here, but we found this out today, and I do want to put this to the test because I do think it is pretty amazing considering how bad my memory is. Elite has a special skill that I don't know if a lot of people have. Elite can
Okay,
name
give me a
the.
pay-per-view quick.
That's
Give
same.
me it.
Elite can name the main event of like almost every pay-per-view that he has seen personally. So I don't want to go back to like into the 100s range, but we'll throw a couple at you and you
I'm
can name it.
ready.
Well, all right. So Chase, why don't you start off with a random event?
Okay,
I'll bring it up.
I feel like we said a lot earlier, but we are not gonna cheat. I'm gonna say 278.
278.
Kamara Usman, Leon Edwards, 2.
Events. Okay, hold on.
If you're wrong, oh, okay.
Usman Edwards too. The man is good. All right, let me do one here. All right, so I'm going to do UFC 281.
That was, I believe, 281. Was it Poirier? No, 281.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh, I got one for you.
Okay.
Poirier. 280 was.
Time's ticking, brother.
Yeah,
Time's
come
ticking.
on. Yeah, you might have been looking it up by now. Come
Oh.
on. And,
No,
and the next one, if you didn't get this one, you're not going to get the next one. So.
All right. Well, I'll then we'll call time on it in 3, 2.
Yeah, you've
1.
done
All right.
bro.
Adesanya versus Pereira was that one.
Oh, damn, you suck. You're making us look bad
Give me
now.
another
We
one. Give me
trusted
another
you.
one. Give me another one.
Okay. UFC 289.
289.
You're never going to get this one. I hate you. You make us look so bad. We put you on the spot, though. It's okay.
You put me on the spot, bro.
Well, this was the skill that we were sold on, brother. I wouldn't have done it if you hadn't have been so confident about it in the Discord.
I've had a few drinks, bro. I'm not.
I'm not
on the.
We're with you, brother. That was Nunes versus Aldana.
I was gonna say that, but I thought it was too easy, bro, because we did it before.
All right, way too hard.
Last one. This will be a more recent one, so you should be able to do this. We're gonna do UFC 295.
Oh, that was Tom Aspinall, Pavlovich, and Alex Pereira, Yuri Prohaska.
All right, you got it. All right, so one for 3.
Keep doing them, bro. Give me some more, bro. I'm in the zone now.
Nope, we gotta cut you short.
I'm in the zone now.
Finish up the show, Elite.
That's true. We appreciate your time, Elite. We'll have you on again at some other time when we do another free-for-all. But thank you for your opinions about Kuniev and Blades, and get your memorization up. We'll come back and do it again another time. All right. All right. Thanks.
All right, he's out of there.
With you, dude.
Yep.
That's Elite, everybody. There you go. That is our buddy from the Discord. You get a little taste of the Discord right here in real life. Good times had by all. At least, it was pretty well behaved. So I'm good with that.
Very proud of him.
Yeah. All right. Well, as Chase said, I mean, we've been going for almost 2 hours. So anything else that we want to talk about now? I mean, we got these events coming up. Any other pressing matters outside of these events, inside of these events? Anybody in the chat, if there's anything else you want to talk about, you can throw it in now. If not, we'll probably start winding down here in a minute.
No, I think I'm good. Yeah, it's been a long day for me. I like that we got a second stream in during the week, hop in and do something different for you guys.
Yeah.
So hopefully
I enjoy
we can
doing
make
these
this more common. And yeah, I mean, this was a pretty good one. I'm really excited for the fights tomorrow. I can't wait to win some money again. I'm very confident.
I mean, you've heard what Chase was saying about the split decisions and, the navigating of your parlays. In fact, at some point, Chase, you have your own YouTube channel. You might want to put together a little video as to, just some of your thoughts on how you go about picking fights that might be helpful and might be able to do some numbers for you. So maybe that's something you could start working on in the future. I think that'd be a good public service for our viewers.
True, but I'm not trying to act like I know everything, and I'm not the money man here. I can't tell people how to spend their shit. So.
I mean, that way you preface it with that. Obviously you do what you take it with a grain of salt or whatever. But you've hit a couple of decent ones. I'm not trying to put your business out there, but we have seen some good hits for Chase. So, so it's just a thought. You can think about it. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow, both of us will be watching these fights. Yeah, we will be individually watching these fights on our individual channels. I will be right here on the Yama channel with my good friend, the Vitz King, watching UFC 313. That is youtube.com/@Yama Show. And Chase, even though we're not on last week's fights, I still know that you can tell them where they can find you.
They can find me on youtube.com /@CP Smalls and on Twitter facebook.com/@creativepartin, Partin. And then, yeah, we're also making some shirts, making some good things. They look really nice. You guys can message me if you want one, and we'll figure out how to get it to you.
Yes.
So that's what's next.
Absolutely. And like I was telling Amir, if you want to support early, that is the best way to do it. These are, we're going to, at some point, we'll have merch rolling out in a more, more like mass produced way. These are handmade by the man himself. So if you really are a day one OG of these streams and a supporter, you'll have one of those. And then when we're, working on, when we're broadcasting on Karate Combat, you can look back and be like, I was with those guys before they were anything. So that's the real support there. So hit Chase up for a shirt. And of course, on Monday, we will be back for the podcast to talk about every one of the fights that we're going to be watching. That is last week's fights. That starts generally at 9 o'clock. If it doesn't start at 9, it'll start later than 9. We've been doing later shows lately. I think we've been pretty okay with those late shows. So, we'll see when we decide to start it up. But if it doesn't start at 9, it'll start later. And I'll let you know the start times on Twitter and Instagram at Yama Show on both of those as well. So stick around with us on all of these things that we're doing. New videos are out on the channel right now as well on Yama. So check those out. And yeah, we will catch up with you real soon for more. The train never stops around here. So have a great rest of your night. And if we don't see you tomorrow for the fights, enjoy them. We'll catch up with you soon, everybody. Fight on.
Game.